Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining the productivity talk today. I'm Tat Manabe from the APO Secretariat, anchoring the session today. Today's P-Talk is about productivity gain sharing. The productivity gain sharing is a system that an organization shares the benefits of the increased productivity with its employees. And it is a performance-based compensation strategy that motivates employees to work more effectively, efficiently, and productively. So in a previous P-Talk back in 2021, Mr. Harjit Singh from India discussed how gain sharing contributes to agricultural productivity enhancement and shared practices in the Indian agricultural system. In this P-Talk today, we will visit Bangladesh to learn a successful case of productivity gain sharing through a community enterprise approach, CEA, in a farm community. Before introducing today's speaker, please watch a short video to overview this interesting initiative.
SHISUK is a national NGO in Bangladesh that has been working on people-led community development and sustainable agriculture since its inception in 1996. SHISUK pioneered community-based collective enterprise initiatives on floodplain aquaculture, popularly known as the Daud Gandhi model. It was awarded the National Gold Medal in 1999. Further, the model was selected as one of the SAARC best practices for livelihood development in 2007. In the pilot project area, Daud Gandhi, the community enterprise approach got to trickle-down replication in over 5,000 hectares of floodplain area of more than 200 villages and producing more than 20,000 metric tons of fish annually in the floodplain during monsoon only, which previously used to be unproductive. The productivity has increased by more than 4 metric tons per hectare. This improved livelihood of more than 50,000 households. The community enterprise approach has brought multiple benefits such as collective decision-making, increased nutrition intake, improved gender relations, women empowerment, and sustainable community development. CEA in floodplain management brings positive results not only in fish production but also in agriculture and safe food production. Because of aquaculture, the floodplain remains clean, which makes cleaning costs and weedicide use zero for cropping after fish harvest. This is also contributing to less pest infestation, thus controlling pesticide use. Farmers can plant their seedlings with soil moisture by regulating the flood water residing after the monsoon, which results in the plantation without tillage and reduces drawing groundwater for irrigation. The residues of supplementary feed for fish and fish droppings contribute to soil fertility and reduce fertilizer costs. On the other hand, residues of crops contribute to fish feed. Holding the flood water additional 3 months and less drawing of groundwater contributes to the recharge of groundwater tape.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce today's guest speaker, Mr. Sakiul Millat Morshed, Executive Director of SHISUK from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Good afternoon, Mr. Morshed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Manabe-san.
Thank you for joining the P-Talk today. How are you doing in Dhaka?
Thank you. We are fine, and this is real pleasure to have this opportunity to introduce SHISUK and the community enterprise.
Thank you. So you previously joined an APO training program on productivity gain sharing as a trainer and trained the participants with your SHISUK CA model as a real case example, which was very interesting. So today we are honored to share your story to broader community through this P-Talk. Thank you for joining again.
Thank you.
So if you don't mind, then I'd like to go questions one by one with the 4 questions that I gave you. Can we go that way?
Okay. Sure.
Thank you. So then the viewers, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop your question to the chat box on the YouTube channel. Okay, so now I like to move to my first question, which is about the SHISUK. So could you explain what is SHISUK and its main business activity, please?
Thank you, Manabe-san, once again. And I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to present our case in this P-Talk with our audience. As already shown in the video, that SHISUK is an NGO. It established in 1994 in Bangladesh. It stands for Education, Health and Development Program. We basically we are dealing with a different development approach, which we call the community enterprise approach model. It's a enterprise initiative, a collective enterprise initiative on the floodplain aquaculture. We've been doing these things since 1997, and this model has been awarded National Gold Medal in 1999 and selected as one of the SARC best practice for livelihood development in 2007. So in the video, we saw that how a floodplain has converted to a collective fish culture enterprise. So that is what is community enterprise. In a nutshell, if I like to explain you what is community enterprise, this is actually a community-led collective enterprise initiative. It involves the bigger community, means that it doesn't focus to any particular group of people in the community, rather involve the total, all the heterogeneous group in the community they are living, and also following this democratic management process, and follow the ecological solutions to enhance the community income. And through this model, the community has transformed the untapped, unutilized floodplains, which is basically during monsoon they do the fish culture, and in the after monsoon they do the agroecological farming in the floodplain. And by doing this, it enhanced the community, enhanced the productivity, and also the gain sharing for a inclusive growth. I like to point out this particular word, inclusive growth, rather than the profit or benefit of particular stakeholder or particular persons. It's an inclusive growth we are explaining. So if I by definition, I mean, if we talk about the community, because when we are talking about community enterprise, we need to really also understand what do you mean by the community. In our model, community is very focused to a floodplain and people living around that floodplain. The households are connected to these common geographical resources, is covered by this community definition. And when this community fix their collective goal, mobilize resources, and adapting this technological innovation, making decision to improve their production and productivity, assess risk and planning risk management, also acquire necessary knowledge and skills to attain their goal, that's how it makes them the community enterprise. The first of all, the community, and when the community is taking this enterprise initiative, that's how it became the community enterprise. If we like to see a flow of this community enterprise formation and activities, I mean how it runs, the very first thing is you need to mobilize the community, the landowners or the households surrounding these floodplains. And then these stakeholders should have an agreement, common agreement on the local feasibility, whatever feasible in the local term. There is no stringent conditions. I mean, it can be tailor-made according to the local context. So when the stakeholders came to an agreement, then you can move forward to mobilize the capital. And this capital comes from the equity share by the community subscription. Community shareholders subscribe the equity share capital. And then with that capital, you need to really construct or do the infrastructure, environment friendly infrastructure, to regulate the flood water and also to safeguard your fish. So after that actual implementation process starts actually, then what they do during monsoon, I mean before starting the monsoon in February, usually our monsoon starts from July onward. So but before that, to make this resource more optimum utilization of the resources, the community stocked their fingerlings in the depressed area since February, and these fish fingerlings start rearing, or the fish culture, actual fish culture starts from May to December actually. And all these fish culture related activities I mean, happens at that time, meaning that feeding the fish or harvesting, all these things happen during May to December time. I mean, we stock our fingerlings in February, then the fingerlings start rearing in the floodplain from May, and from September the community start harvesting, and by December they used to complete their harvesting. And after harvesting the fish, the gain sharing, the share gain are shared among the community in different form, like as a rental, dividend, wage, honorarium, and entrepreneurship kind of opportunities. And also there are CSR and the green development process as well. So I will explain it later. And then after harvesting the fish, this floodplain again go back to the individual landowners, to do the cropping in their own land. So this is a one Google's photograph, Google's shot on our pilot project area in Daudkandi. Here in Daudkandi is one of the sub-districts of under the Kumilla district. You can see some very clear kind of area like this one, and these are the floodplain fisheries projects. Normally, the floodplain looks like this during monsoon, with full of water hyacinth and all the weeds. But when you are doing the fish culture, it became very clear, and then you can easily identify the area where people do some cultivation kind of things. So now there are about 94 community enterprise initiatives already there in this pilot project area. Out of this 94, about 87 has been replicated by the community themselves as a demonstration model. Means that there was no external support or any external catalyst to do that. I mean, the community themselves did it by themselves. And it covers almost 5,000 hectares of area in two Upazila. Out of this about 100 community enterprise, 44% are less than 20 hectares of land, and 26% are 21 to 50 hectares of land, and 30% are 52 hectares of land. Basically, actually, you can see this Pankodi, which is the very first project of this community enterprise approach in Daudkandi. We initiated this one in 1997. So if I explain a bit more about the context of Bangladesh, you can see this map, and this is Bangladesh, and you can see the most of the area is a low-lying area, and this goes under water during monsoon easily. Almost 2.8 million hectares of floodplain we have normal situation. But when there is a heavy flood or something, then almost 60% of our area can be flooded as well. So these are very untapped resources which has a huge potential to accelerate the inclusive growth in a small and high dense population country like Bangladesh. And the natural productivity of this floodplain is about 150 to 350 kilo of fish per hectare. But if you convert it as a community enterprise, or if you do cultivation into that floodplain, the productivity could enhance up to 4 metric ton at least per hectare, which means a huge increase of productivity. And in a calculation, we found that if we convert 1% of this floodplain under, if you can bring this this floodplain, 1% of the floodplain under the community enterprise approach, that could add a 0.1 million metric ton of fish production per year additionally. And the challenge actually, these floodplains are owned by many owners, and sometimes with a different property regime as well. And whatever, if you, it's a huge area, so if you need to, if you like to do any development, that needs a collective arrangement among the right holders. Also, it needs a lot of investment to transform this process. So this is basically, in a nutshell, what is community enterprise and SHISUK as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It is very interesting to see that the SHISUK has been evolved by maximizing the potential of the floodplain aquaculture and people living there. Okay, thank you. And my next question is why SHISUK adopted community enterprise approach, so-called CEA, rather than cooperative approach or whatever, and why and what are the principles of your model? Could you explain?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. If I explain you, like when we took that initiative to use this floodplain, we had a few choices actually. Like there are two approach we could follow. Like one is cooperative approach, and other one is the traditional company approach. So, but we didn't follow that because there are some prevalent negative notions about these two concepts. Like first of all, if we follow this cooperative model, the perceived notion is this cooperative is a poor initiatives, and it's a savings based initiative. Means that usually the member is poor people, poor members, they collect savings, and based on that savings they took an initiative. That kind of notion is there. And most of these cooperatives are project driven and dependent on the government support, or donor support, whatever, external support. And the bureaucracy and the political influence issue is also there. And it is already we came through a long time, like many decades, like from 60s people are doing this cooperative, but it doesn't really change their fate. So there is no inspiration or the enthusiasm to go back to the cooperative initiatives by the people. And the alternative choice was like this company formation, which is not very suitable for the community, for rural farming community, because the compliance is all the same, whether you are a multinational company or you are a rural company. The compliance is all the same. So this is difficult for our rural farming community to do the same compliance like the corporate houses. And it doesn't really protect the community's ownership. Means that in the company formation, the share can be transferred to anyone, and anybody can buy the share and can dominate the whole. So that really can disrupt the community ownership. And this corporate approach is also very focused to the profit mongering kind of interest, which doesn't really ensure the environmental compliance and the social issues of the community. So these are the issues we considered, and we try to come up with a different solution rather than going back to this cooperative and the company act. We formed this community enterprise, which is basically a blending of this cooperative and the corporate things. And it is self-reliant based, meaning this community enterprise is based on the members investment. It is not based on any other external sources. And there is a greater ownership and participation because this community enterprise is fully owned by the community, and the total community is involved into that things, into the process. And as the community themselves are managing their ventures, the strong social connection is there. And in the community enterprise, most of these costs are not fixed cost. It is basically rather it is based on the turnover. I mean, if you gain higher, then you can get higher. If the profit is less, then the transaction cost is less, like this land lease money or the remuneration, something like that. And it has a lot of flexibility. You can easily take a decision by consensus of the community and can immediately implement the things. Excuse me. And it has wider scope and less political interference into that thing. So we that is the reason we follow a different approach rather than cooperative and the company formation. If I like to share you the principles of our community enterprise things, it's basically providing the income augmentation. That is one of the basic principles that we need to improve, enhance our income, but at the same time create a purposeful employment opportunity for the community. That is also one of our prime principle. And and as this is a agriculture community, one of the principle is adding value to this agricultural product, and the priority marketing for the local consumer as a at a wholesale price. It means that many times, I mean, sometimes we found that there are some very high potential growth area where they are producing a high value crop or high value product, but that is the community have little access to that product. Most of this product goes back to this wholesale market. But our principle is that the community should consume first according to their choice at the wholesale price. Then the balance will go take to the wholesale market or the somewhere else to do the marketing. And this surplus of this community enterprise also invest back to the community projects. And one community initiatives, the enterprise initiative, also create a lot of other community enterprise opportunities. Like there are groups who are doing entrepreneurship in this feed supply, fish marketing, fish selling, or this backward and forward linkage. There are many other enterprise initiatives has created because of one enterprise initiative. I will explain it later. And also most important thing is through this process, as the committee is involved through this process, we one of the fundamental principle is to create the decision makers and the entrepreneurs in our community. Rather than a training setup, it is an inbuilt process to develop this entrepreneur and decision makers. And in regards to the operational rules of the SHISUK model, what we can say that this Ostrom's Eleanor Ostrom's the design principles of this common pool resource management, the 7 principles she mentioned in her Nobel work. We followed most of these principles. We didn't we are not following this from the very beginning, means that we didn't know these principles have to follow, but we've been doing our things. And in 2009 when there was a PhD in Nagasaki University on our model, then we from that PhD we came to know that we are following all these 7 principles, like these clearly defined boundaries, the congruence between the appropriation and the provision rules and the local conditions, the collective choice arrangement, monitoring, graduated sanctions, conflict resolution mechanism, and a platform for community to organize. So if anybody is interested to learn more about these things, they can search this link. The full paper is there. And if I say that the key features of this model, this community enterprise model, is basically the ownership, the community ownership. It is community led, and it is owned by the bigger community. And at the same time, every shareholder have a single voting rights, means that it make a at per platform for every community member to participate in the decision making process. That is very important for the community. And the incorporation is basically the producers, the community, and the related facilitating organizations. And in regards to the investment, the investment comes from the equity shares from the community, and this members' equity cannot be publicly traded. It can be transferred within the community to ensure the community ownership is remain with the community. And finally, if I say about the governance, as the shareholders are the owners, so they govern the venture, and through a democratic representation, a process. I mean, through an elective election and other democratic process, they select their representative in the board of directors, and this board of directors run the show. And they take the participatory decisions, and management is also participatory, and they are accountable to the general shareholders through a national annual general meeting, audit, and other way. But the most important part is on the right side of the slide. If if you see that this community focus means that as it is different than any other ventures, is the community initiatives. So the focus is basically to support and and facilitate the community interest, meaning that one is this equitable share ownership, that anyone cannot hold any amount of the shares. There is an equity to have these shareholdings, and the reserve share for underprivileged, and reserve fund for the charity, like 5 to 10% of the net profit also allocated for the CSR in the community. And as I mentioned, that the priority for the local entrepreneurs in backward and forward linkages, whatever the opportunity created by these initiatives, the community members are getting the first priority to do these things. And the priority marketing for the community as a consumers at the wholesale price. So these are the principles, and yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we understand that why you picked up the CA approach rather than other options, and what are the principles, and how you evolved the rules and other management. Thank you very much. So it looks like SHISUK has been evolved with the model of the farmers, by the farmers, and for the farmers. So we always the farmers and the people are there involved in the development. Thank you very much. Okay, so now I'd like to move to the third question. It is around the linkage of SHISUK CA model to productivity. So for the productivity gain sharing perspective, how does the CA contribute to the productivity and gain sharing?
Okay, thank you. As you explained very clearly, that productivity gain sharing for any organization is a performance-based compensation for the employees. On the right, we try to show how this productivity gain sharing is applied in the agriculture sector. It is basically improve the performance of the agriculture farm, and also the benefit goes to the stakeholders. In the normal context, we call it a employer-employees relationship, but in the agriculture sector, it is more than employer-employees relationship. The stakeholders are involved, and the gain could be financial and in kind as well. And if we see this, the gain sharing in the public sector, it also different than the other sectors, industry sector, private sector. The most important thing is the community enterprise collective initiatives. The incentive or the gain sharing is for the inclusive growth. It is not for the employees, not for a group of people, rather than total community. This inclusive growth, if we define this inclusive growth under this OECD definition, you can see that economic growth, inclusive growth means that economic growth that is distributed fairly across the society, and that creates opportunity for all. this is important that through a community enterprise initiatives, it is not particular people, particular person, or a particular interest group, rather than across the society is benefited from this community enterprise issues. So the gain is shared among across the society, and it creates a lot of opportunity. So if I see what are the outcome of this community enterprise, then it would be a bit clear that how it really helps the across the society. It increased the productivity of the smallholders and farmers, and also it enhanced this market aggregation, and also the last mile delivery, the financial inclusion, climate and environmental issues, and increased social capital, public-private partnership, food and nutrition system, market governance, and the politics. Market governance and the politics also handled by this, which is very important, because in many cases we see that the farmers is growing, their productivity has enhanced, but their interest or their benefit has not been very come back to them for their own benefit. So this is important, how the market is governed by the farmers themselves, and this fit into that politics. So as a whole, if we see this community enterprise, it enhanced the productivity, it increased the production. Like in our cases, if I talk about the pilot project area, in one upazila, about 100 community enterprise initiative has increased the productivity of fish, like 100 million US dollars fish per year. This data is actually 2004's data by World Fish Center. So if you calculate it now, at present time, it is about $40 million, more than $40 million in one upazila. So it is a huge boosting of the productivity. It augmented the income of the farmers, small farmers, and through their lease money and the dividend. If you have 10 shares, the income was enhanced actually like $13.6 in 2004, which is about $40 maybe nowadays. And a non-recurring employment opportunity has created like 144% per day per hectare, and recurring employment has increased like 72% per day per hectare. Average number of stakeholders raised from 12 in the pre-project phase to 40 in the post-project phase. So as I explained that this in the first slide, that it helps the smallholders and farmers and SMEs. How it helps? Because of this collective initiative, the ability of quality input in a reasonable price, and the collective capital also ensured the necessary investment into the production facilities. Also, small farmers and entrepreneurs can achieve economic scale and reduce transaction cost and negotiation for a better price with buyers. And this because of a bulk production, availability of bulk production, and demand-driven harvest and marketing, it attracts the middleman and wholesaler at the farm gate level. So it creates a new market space for the community. And as I said, this because of collective initiative, usually the farmers are bound, sometimes forced to sell their product at the very harvesting time, because of debt bondage and other things, which is deprive them from the fair price. But because of collective initiative, they can hold the product for a right market, and minimize the unscrupulous agents cost, and also as they have more information network, they can ship their product to the right market at the right time. And it also ensured their security in regards to financial and other personal security level as well. And to ensure the last mile delivery, the new entrepreneur developed in the community enterprise, they are ensuring the plot to plate delivery things. So there are a new emerging group of entrepreneurs, mostly the young people. And the logistics, also logistic providers and the community enterprise can negotiate for better price for transportation. So there are huge new transportation facilities developed to, backward and in the for backward and forward linkages. That is also served by the youth group, and the good post-harvest management and the better value chain in the process. In regards to the financial inclusion, instead of giving a training setup, capacity building, this community enterprise is a inbuilt process to learn this entrepreneurship and the financial management, formal financial management. So that really involve or include more people into the financial system, formal financial system, and it enable the opportunity for the mechanization of this agriculture, and agriculture credit size as well for a formal financial financing. And it also enable contact farming process to build a public private partnership into the system. So, in regards to our gain sharing, how this profit or gain are shared among the different across the society, we can see this in this slide on the left. Like this net profit, how this net profit distributes among the stakeholders. Basically, 20 to 25% to the landowners and the lease as a lease value, 10% remuneration for management, 5 to 10% for the community social services, and the 60% as a dividend of the shareholder. So the profit is shared across the society in different terms, and this is not a fixed cost or fixed amount. It is based on the turnover. So as I said, that it is also very, transaction cost is negotiable, as well as it doesn't really burden the community with the debt, bondage, or something more than they earn. And it helps to reduce the poverty at the community level. On the right, if we see that these smallholders or the underprivileged group, there are special features for them, so that they benefit from this enterprise. Like maybe they receive a small lease value or a small dividend, but they are the full beneficiary of the employment opportunity and the welfare services in the community. That helps this zero hunger, to address this zero hunger goal of the SDGs. And it also increased the protein and the nutritional intake in the community. As the community has the priority to consume their product first, so that addresses the goal, SDG goal 3. And finally, it creates one of the principle to create the purposeful employment for the community and the opportunity for the community, priority for the community in the backward and forward linkage. That created good jobs and economic growth in the community, which is addressing this SDG 8. And as a whole, this income augmentation and this equity share, that contribute to the reduce the inequality in the community. SDG 10 is there. So a bit more elaborate on this SDG goal 8. It creates a lot of backward and forward linkages. This is a list of backward and forward linkages. About 23 new opportunities are created for the new employment opportunity and livelihood in the community based for these things. If we go back, as if you see that how it contribute to our environmental issues, this SDG goal 12, the responsible consumption and production. In one hand, it is we follow the agroecological process, which is conserving the biodiversity and the environment, and also it also helps us to reduce the cost, transaction cost. Like if there is a list like the zero cleaning cost. As this floodplain remain clean, you don't need to clean it, so they save the cleaning cost. It doesn't need the delays, because in the video we see that when you are harvesting, the at the same time people are planting their seedlings there. And as the this floodplain remain clean, there is less pest manifestation, and you need no or less pesticide to use for these things. And finally, we are using the surface water for our agriculture, so it reduce the drawing of the groundwater and also recharging the groundwater more. That contribute to goal 10, goal 6, goal 13, and also goal 15. And if we go to this the climate issues, the because of this enterprise initiative, the smallholders, farmers, and entrepreneurs can pool their resources, knowledge, and skills for the better management of climate risk and improve their productivity, including the adapting the climate resilient farming practices, investment in climate resilient infrastructure, and diversity in the income. So it really create more profitability and reduce the vulnerability of the climate risk.
Thank you very much. Thank you for clear explanation about how the SHISUK CA model links to the contribution to the productivity and gain sharing. But now I learned that the SHISUK CA approach is not just for the productivity gain sharing, but also for encouraging the inclusiveness and, of course, the economic growth and environmental sustainability and community, I would say community sustainability as well. So thank you for sharing all the benefits, how the model is linking to the multiple outcomes, mostly the benefits. Thank you. My last question, this is about your next step, way forward. So it has been almost 30 years since the SHISUK established. So, I see that many has been achieved by now. What's going to be the next? What is your future plan?
Thank you. Yeah, it is about 25 years. We initiated in 97, so it's almost we crossed past the 25 years. Yeah, now what is we are in? We are dreaming to, or we are ambitious to promote multi-purpose economic activities in our community enterprise initiatives, meaning that combining agriculture production with the manufacturing and the processing. We are so far doing the raw material production, like the fish itself, but there is a little we have done for this value addition and other things. So there is an immense opportunity to go for the next step for processing and packaging and all these things. And also it really creates a new environment for to promote these rural tourism facilities. I think that will help both two way. It also enhance the community income, but at the same time it will rural tourism will facilitate the sharing with other people to replicate it in other areas. So we like to also include that part into our community initiatives. And we are also hoping to scale up this program in other rural areas within the country and outside the country. Wherever it is possible, we like to scale it up and introduce in the other sectors. So far, our activities are mostly on the floodplain area and with the fisheries management kind of things. But what we believe that the same approach could be applicable in other sector, like now like last 3 years we are organizing the beekeepers in our country to have a community enterprise to facilitate the sustainable honey production and the quality honey production. And we are in a process of promoting the smart farming technology and the digital agriculture in our enterprises. And finally, we are looking forward to see a multi-country research to establish a diverse agriculture educational institute, meaning that we like to learn from other countries' context, and which will help us to establish a multi-country learning center in regards to these collective initiatives. and it will help the rural resident competency education, reinforce the professional education and establishment of this network between organizations related to agriculture educations. So that is basically we are looking forward at this point of time. And if we, I mean, as a concluding remark, what I can say that the community enterprise approach holds a bright potential to accelerate the collective growth in gain sharing system. And in Bangladesh context, this climate change, due to this climate change, more area would be flooded, and which will disrupt our existing uh, agriculture practices. So this approach we can replicate whatever process because it has a inbuilt togetherness and collective governance to build a resilient community for a sustainable development.
Okay, thank you very much for the way forward. We learned a lot about the SHISUK and what is the CE approach, why it's being adopted, and how it contributes to the productivity gain sharing, and finally the next step. And I hope all the viewers found this information very informative and inspiring. So the time is running up, then I'd like to move to the QA sessions. Thank you for viewers. Send us some questions. So I'd like to go one by one as much as time allows. So the first question, Morshed-san, is a question from Mr. Raisel Safkart. So his question is that how it is related with the food sovereignty. Sovereignty is the one that the farmers or the producers are trying to get back their ownership or leadership in the food chain rather than the big corporation or the big value chain players monopolize the food security and safety supply. So now this activity is really the initiative done by the farmers. So his question is that how your work could be potentially related to this food sovereignty.
Thank you for this very nice question. Actually, this is basically whatever this community enterprise is doing that ensures the food sovereignty because it is run by the community. It is the involvement of the community, owned by the community. In a nutshell, it is by the community for the community. So, and that ensure that the enhancement of the productivity is benefiting the community themselves, the farmers community themselves. So it ensures the food security as well as food sovereignty for the farming community.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'd like to move on with other questions. Question from Ms. Pramila Shakya from Nepal. Thank you for the question. Her question is that who takes the lead in initiating the infrastructure development or involvement? Initiative. What is really the process? I mean, unlike the corporate, then her question is that how the community agree and develop the infrastructure whenever investment comes arise.
You see, the challenge is to make a demonstration for the community. Once the community know how to do it, then the community can take leads. But the challenge is to set a demonstration at the very first moment. Because if you like to transform this knowledge on a training, classroom setting for new community, it is difficult to really make them understand how to do it. But if there is a training like exposure visit to the existing program, that will help them to understand how the community themselves can do it. But finally, the community themselves are taking lead to do this infrastructure development in the process.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is from Dr. Joshkan from Turkey. So is there any mechanism in Bangladesh to measure your model's output regarding the adaptation and the mitigation for climate change? So you mentioned about the contribution to the climate change. But his question is about how to measure. Is there any way in Bangladesh to measure and recognize the contribution to the climate change, mitigation and adaptation?
Okay, I mean, I can respond to this question in different way. First of all, if you see that this floodplain management, it is basically addressing the climate change effect. The floodplain is more due to this climate change effect, more area would be flooded, as I mentioned. So when you are managing this floodplain, it is an adaptation model for this climate change effect. On the other hand, we are doing these things in last 25 years, without any external support, community is replicating by themselves. That also signify that this is already a proven technology to adapt into the floodplain situation context. At the national level, this model has been awarded in 1999, as well as in recent development plan. We have a 5 years plan every 5 years. So in last 5 years plan, 7 5 years plan, and 8 5 years plan, this community enterprise has included as one of the options for the development. So it is recognized at the national level in that way. But okay, I should also acknowledge that we didn't do very academic research on to measure our impact on the climate change. But this is how I can see that it helps to adapt. It helps to address the climate change issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I'd like to move on to the next question from Amit Kumar. Are there any legal or regulatory considerations that farmer community, your community, should be aware of? What are the key regulations or the law or regulations that the community needs to consider to manage and operate?
Well, there are, right now we are not under any legal consideration. We are not following the cooperative, we are not following the company. And it's a trust-based organization, which doesn't really require a legal framework to carry on. But it also has some limitation as well. Unless you have a legal framework or legal constitutions, then it also hinder you to access to the formal financing and other facilities. So basically we are advocating and doing policy advocacy to have a new legal framework for the rural community initiatives. So as we don't have the existing law, like this cooperative or the company law doesn't really help to facilitate this kind of collective initiative at the community. So we need a new law, new legal framework for these things, and we are pursuing it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the last question from the viewers. This is from Ibrahim Arif. How cost-effective is the CEA model compared to the traditional fish farming by big landowners? So here, the question is about the comparison with the corporate producer, particularly in aquaculture.
We can very clearly say that this is much more beneficial or cost effective, because as I mentioned that most of these costs are not fixed cost. It's based on the turnover ratio. So if there is a higher profit, so the landowners are getting more lease money. If there is a higher benefit, then the management people also get a higher remuneration. So it helps to ensure that the transaction cost is not overburdened to the investment. So, and on the other hand, uh, I mean, if it is a corporate initiatives, you need lot of security measures to ensure your safeguard your product or the venture, which is very costly in regards to the security or any other negotiation of such a big project. So, in a community enterprise initiatives, that is the biggest advantage, that everybody is playing a security role to ensure the safeguard their production, their enterprise, and everybody is trying their best to ensure the better result or the better benefit in regards to the selling or buying, whatever context, both context actually. So in that context, definitely it is cost effective than any other private or public venture.
Okay, thank you very much. So these are all the questions from the viewers. If I may, I have two questions to you, Morshed-san. So the first one is about the most challenging part of establishing the community. Now I see that a lot of success, but in the last 25 years, then there must be some difficulties, difficult times. But I like to know that what are the most challenging one, and how did you address that challenge? Can I find the
Yeah.
example?
Yes, I mean, first of all, the biggest challenge is to motivate and mobilize the community. You are dealing with the dynamic elements like the human beings, bringing huge people in a one platform, common platform. That is the biggest challenge. But I mean, we faced this challenge at the very beginning when we initiate this project. It took almost 2 years to make them understand what is we are planning to do and what can be done. So after 2 years, when we initiate the first project in '97 or '98, the first harvest was happened in '98. Then it was very easy for us to transform this knowledge to the next level, because then the community, the neighboring community and the external community can see what is happening there. So you don't need to really make convince them hypothetically, rather than they can learn in the in situ situation. So that is the biggest challenge. If any other reason you like to replicate these things or any other country, I think the mobilizing the community for the very first project is the biggest challenge. But once you are successful in that part, then it would be is the whole pressure.
I see. Thank you very much. Okay, my last question is about the engagement of people. So as you know that in the agricultural sector especially, the issue of the aging of the farmers spreading across the Asian countries, not just developed but also developing countries. The farmers are aging, and young people are not attracted for the agriculture. But how this C model attract the young people, and also with the woman, female? So do you have some good example that how contribute to the young people and female?
Thank you, Manabe-san, for this nice question. Actually, if you followed our photographs or the video, you could see most of the people are
Yes.
the young generation
Yes.
in those photographs. So basically, though the initiative was taken by the community leaders, but in actual implementation, the young population are very much engaged into that. And as I said, this one enterprise initiative facilitate other spinning of enterprise initiative in the community, and that helps to bring more young people there, as well as as it is based in the community, the whole productivity, production, and all this processing is happening there. The women have a bigger opportunity to take part into that thing. So I see, I can say very firmly this community enterprise definitely have much more opportunity for the youth and the young women to take part. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so the time is up, and we must close the session today. So, Mr. Morshed-san, thank you so much for your presentation and responses to all the questions. So these were very informative and again, insightful. I wish you further success. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So viewers, I'd like to thank all viewing today and hope you enjoy the session in the future. See you next time.